As I suspected, 32 flavors.
You all know that saying about a broken clock being right twice a day, and well, lo and behold, we have CBR of all the websites. No, not the comic book resources of old before it got bought out by some big mega corporation, before they became far left propaganda and gossip of the works. This is modern day in 2023, current year, CBR posting this article. Why DC and Marvel Comics need to bring back political diversity. And this one's published by Ashley Land. So I looked into Ashley Land a little bit and I saw some headlines. I didn't read every piece of every article, but I saw the headlines and looked into tidbits. And I thought, okay, this lady's actually providing factual information. And there's some opinion, but it doesn't really feel on the nose. But I agree with these headlines. Less is more. Non-stop tie-ins are ruining comic events. We don't know the context of her opinions, but judging by that headline, I agree with her. 10 DC heroes were based on pulp comic books. That's true. Batman based off the Shadow. So it's like, okay, I actually agree with those things. Even if I didn't, she's definitely doing her homework. 10 superheroes even older than Superman. Obviously, Doc Savage, Thor because he's old Asgardian. Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. She's actually posting factual information. So it seems like she's about the facts first, and if she has opinions, she'll put them second. So anyways, I looked into this article about her, talk about bringing back political diversity. And, there's been some misinformation, I'll say, about how comic books have always been political, and that's not true, like, at all. Now, had there been comic books throughout time, over time, that had been that way, like sporadically, I'd say, yeah, sure. Like, if you look at the first volume of the 1980 through 1984 Marv Wolfman, George Perez run of the Teen Titans, where Robin becomes Nightwing, I have one issue of that entire bunch. That's like 50, 60 some issues. I mean, that's if you don't count the later issues with the reprints. And there's the 4 tie-ins of the Tales of the Teen Titans before the book gets retitled after issue 40. There's one issue where they kind of go into it. One issue. And I feel like that run, that first particular run between the two guys, because they do another run later on, but that first run is pretty much a good idea of what it's generally like. There's outlier issues. There's also like the Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Neil Adams, where that stuff happened. Obviously, yes, we know Watchmen. Yes, it was political, but guess what? Watchmen was one story in 12 issues in 1 year. That 1 year doesn't justify all of the years. For those who are the fake comic fans who try to pretend that they're always political, no, they're not. There have been political comics, and there's been good ones, and of course, in the last 10 years, there's been some really bad ones. But anyways, let's go over some of the stuff from Miss Ashley Land. So she posted here about how she talks about how a lot of the comic books in recent times have been very one-sided. That at one point in time there was definitely a bit more of a either neutrality or evenness. Now everything is so one way and heavy-handed and slanted towards one side. And yeah, it's been exactly that. It's basically, she's talking about how nowadays everyone just kind of agrees with each other. And yeah, there's no actual like challenging arguments. And I agree with her in this article, which I would actually recommend that you do that. And right here, in the modern era, comics still touch on politics, but the topic has become increasingly homogenous to the point where it's a dull and predictable subject. Oh my God, this is on CBR? This is legal? Virtually all heroes, in as much as they voice their beliefs, seem to mostly agree, even when their history should suggest otherwise. And this is one of the problems with a lot of the modern writers. A lot of them, like, they don't agree with the character's beliefs, so they want to change the character to make them them. When you're a writer, you are supposed to become Batman. Batman doesn't become you. Looking at you, Tom King. Now, it's one thing if you put like a sliver of yourself in the story, but when the character becomes full-blown you, that is where the problem is. And yeah, I agree with her on that piece. It's an issue where everyone is just thinking the same way, and there's no challenge of conversation. And as I brought up earlier, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, there was that challenging of conversation. So it's nice to see that happened. Happens at CBR with someone acknowledging that this is going on. Here's another great paragraph here I saw. Famous arguments in comics like the Avengers butting heads with affirmative action over Sam Wilson or the numerous arguments between Hal Jordan and Oliver Queen show how comics haven't always succeeded when they've engaged with contemporary politics. When they've engaged, keywords, when they've engaged. 'Cause it wasn't always engaging. However, these discussions also spice things up by reminding readers that the Avengers and the Justice League aren't perfect. They are comprised of unique individuals who contend with relatable problems. Fans could see that most issues weren't so cut and dry that superheroes would never argue about them. Comics aren't a good platform for escalating political arguments. Looking at all of you modern writers who don't know how to actually add nuance to this, or even particularly good places for promoting any specific political theory since they can devolve into propaganda without warning. You're summing up a lot of the issues of the last 10, 12, 13 years. However, superheroes are more interesting when they have strong opinions. I agree to a point, but you're entitled to your stance, Ashley. While heroes like Superman and Spider-Man have mostly become unifying neutral figures, it's also good to know that heroes can have deep personal philosophies, as they should, and that's what makes those characters great, is when they have those philosophies. And also, so any reader that has an open mind can connect them. Like, I'm not a leftist at all. I'd say, I respect some aspects of old school liberalism. I love the Green Arrow. I love that. I think Mark Miller subbed up. He said he saw Captain America as an old school conservative, Iron Man as like a libertarian, Hulk as like a lefty. I was like, I can actually see that. And it's been very debatable on whether Superman is. And to me, he just seems right in the middle. And that's fine. So, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this article? Is Ashley Land the outlier in the bunch? Or is this CBR trying to say, hey, we need to be competent for once? As far as I'm aware, it seems like Ashley Land is the one competent voice. So who knows? Maybe this website will be something to respect because of people like her. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. And no, I'm not deleting that error. Have a nice day.